BlackFacts.com and Timbuktu narrates present, Juneteenth meaning. A national holiday.
On Freedom's Eve, or the eve of January 1st, 1863, the first watch night services took place. On that night, enslaved and free African Americans gathered in churches and private homes all across the country awaiting news that the Emancipation Proclamation had taken effect. Historical context. At the stroke of midnight, prayers were answered as all enslaved people in Confederate states were declared legally free. Union soldiers, many of whom were black, marched on to plantations and across cities in the South reading small copies of the Emancipation Proclamation, spreading the news of freedom in Confederate states. Only through the 13th Amendment did emancipation end slavery throughout the United States. But not everyone in Confederate territory would immediately be free. Even though the Emancipation Proclamation was made effective in 1863, it could not be implemented in places still under Confederate control. As a result, in the westernmost Confederate state of Texas, enslaved people would not be free until much later. Freedom finally came on June 19, 1865, when some 2,000 Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas. The Army announced that the more than 250,000 enslaved black people in the state were free by executive decree. This day came to be known as Juneteenth by the newly freed people in Texas. The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere. It was from that moment that Juneteenth would be born. Why is it important? The post-emancipation period known as Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877, marked an era of great hope, uncertainty, and struggle for the nation as a whole. Formerly enslaved people immediately sought to reunify families, establish schools, run for political office, push radical legislation, and even sue slaveholders for compensation. Given the 200-plus years of enslavement, such changes were nothing short of amazing. African Americans were inspired and empowered to transform their lives and their country. In the late 1970s, the Texas legislature declared Juneteenth a holiday of significance, particularly to the blacks of Texas, becoming the first state to establish Juneteenth as a state holiday. On June 15, 2021, the Senate passed a bill that would make Juneteenth, or June 19th, a federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. The bill would lead to Juneteenth becoming the 12th federal holiday. Under the legislation, the federal holiday would be known as Juneteenth National Independence Day. Juneteenth marks a date of major significance in American history and shows us that freedom and racial equality have always been a hard-fought battle for Black Americans, a battle that continues to this day. It is a reminder that nobody is free until everybody is free. Juneteenth is the United States' second Independence Day. Although it has long celebrated in the African American community, this monumental event remains largely unknown to most Americans. The historical legacy of Juneteenth shows the value of never giving up hope in uncertain times. It should celebrate as the day when all Americans were liberated and created equal. It should be a day to reflect, to learn, and to grow as a nation and as a people. How to celebrate. There are many ways you can observe and celebrate this holiday, from supporting Black businesses to educating yourself, to using your voice to spread love. You can also take time to share the stories of Black people you admire and learn about prominent Black figures in American history.
Learn more at BlackFacts.com.